right. Welcome into ChatGPT Canvas for marketers. This is a free training. Welcome to all those that are Click Pro members or non-Click Pro members. We're all a family here in these free meetings. I'm going to put my earbuds in. Make sure you guys can chat, say hi, and ask questions. Let's see. So, just saying hello in there. Good to see a lot of you here, a lot of people that I see a lot, some new people in here. So welcome. What's up, Mike? Say hi to me in the chat. Few things come up. I try to answer questions towards the end. You can pop them into the chat. I don't typically use the Q&A section during webinars. I just like the chat. Sunny, cold, Karen. Karen, why is it sunny and cold in Temple Hills? It's usually sunny and 75 wherever you are. Good to see you. Welcome in. We're going to be talking about ChatGPT Canvas. I don't know if it's my favorite tool, but if it's not, it's like tied for first place as one of my favorite tools. So there'll be a little bit of probably maybe more than you ever wanted to know about Canvas today and why I think every marketer should be using Canvas in many different ways. All right, let's get started. It's the top of the hour. And we only have an hour together. So this is Level Up, ChatGPT Canvas for marketers. I'm Russ Henneberry, founder of The Click. I love teaching you about marketing and AI. I've been doing marketing for almost 20 years. Wrote Digital Marketing for Dummies and just been doing this with lots of companies, my own companies, like doing marketing and then been running these AI trainings for over almost 2 years now. And excited to do this one on ChatGPT Canvas for marketers. And here's the deal. So I want to outline the problems that we all see with AI, and I want to talk about the idea that the skill gap. I posted this on LinkedIn. The skill gap in AI. Now look at this. This is a cartoon that I did that I think is funny, but it's also quite true, which is what makes it fun. You see ChatGPT saying something like, to increase revenue by 500%, acquire more customers. Sort of like saying, if you want to win the basketball game, score more points than the other team, right? And this is sort of over the top example of garbage that we get back from AI sometimes that is just boiled chicken, not useful, not helpful. But perfectly accurate or reasonable to say, I guess. But we get this kind of output back when we're doing marketing and growth stuff because we don't really know how to use the tool, right? So if you're getting weak output that's not driving business results. So how do you know whether you're getting good results from your AI? You need to ask the question, is the output you're getting from AI good? Are you able to use it? Is it driving business decisions? Is it helping you do more work in less time or more higher quality work? Is it producing things that you can use? If it's not, you are not in the right group. Okay. You are on the wrong side of this gap and you need actual training on how to use AI. And that's why you're here. And that's why the Click and the Click Pro exist. Those of you that are in the Click Pro, I see several of you in here actually. Say hi to me in here. If you're a Click Pro member, you can say hello in the chat. Let people know what you think of the Click Pro. Like, what are you learning in there? What's it doing for you? Obviously, I would love for everybody in here to be a member of the Click Pro. This week, we are launching a training on building email newsletters. So our email newsletter training is how do we use AI to build newsletters. Everybody knows they should be building a newsletter. Like newsletters are the most valuable asset that you can build as a company because you own that audience. You own that audience through email. It's super powerful and you can use it for lead generation, lead nurture, selling, right? So you sell through your newsletter and you use it for retention. It's the most versatile. That's why I'm teaching about it. The most versatile and valuable asset to build is that email list, right? And that's what we're starting on Friday. How do we use AI to build outstanding email newsletters that predictably increase leads and sales? I bring that up because we're going to be using Canvas a lot in that training. If you want to check out more about the email newsletter training, I'll drop this into the chat for everyone and you can take a look at what we're going to be doing starting Friday. We're going to be using Canvas because pretty much every training that I do, we end up using Canvas. So let's jump into the problems of AI and why Canvas is part of the solution. So you have the cold start problem. The cold start problem is when we start every session, we start over. And so it's a massive time suck that every time we log into an AI, it doesn't know what we're working on. It doesn't understand the company, the business, who you're serving, what you're selling, or any of that stuff. You've got to overcome that. And that's why the first training in the Click Pro is our Growth OS training around how do you structure your AI account so that you eliminate this cold start. And every time you log in, it knows what you're working. It becomes a true operating system, a true co-marketer with you, right? Because it knows what you're doing. It's learning like a human would learn about your business when you structure the AI properly. So cold start problem. Then you have the boiled chicken problem, which is when you get these generic, useless, essentially, but accurate, right? It's accurate. Like just like this cartoon is accurate to increase revenue by 500%, get more people to pay you money, right? Like this is the kind of stuff that we get back from when we're having the boiled chicken problem. Again, properly structuring your ChatGPT account will eliminate the boiled chicken problem. And the last one I call the drunk uncle problem, which was when the AI goes off the rails, it's forgetting things, right? Kind of like your drunk uncle, right? Hallucinates. Hopefully your drunk uncle's not hallucinating, but you get this output that you're just the output that leads you to go like, what the heck is going on? Like what happened somewhere? Again, properly structuring your AI account so that it can do outstanding work. It takes training, it takes setup. And so that's what that Growth OS training is inside the Click Pro. And one of the things that we cover in there is Canvas. Canvas can help you solve a lot of these problems, and it can actually get it so you can do real work, right? Instead of just tricks with AI, you're actually doing work. And so Canvas is a document. So let's just jump right in here and look at just a quick example of what a Canvas is, start a new chat. If I say something like, write me a poem, and it writes me a quick poem, it's been a long time since I just asked it to do something like that. Okay. I'm not going to spend any time reading that, but I'm going to ask it to put the poem into a canvas. Okay. So I'm going to ask it to put the poem into a canvas. That's going to create a document. So over here, I'm just working with, I can't edit that. I can't change that. I can't do anything with that. When I tell it to put that poem into a canvas, now I have this split screen feature implemented in ChatGPT, and I can start to now, I put the poem into the canvas, and now I can get, I can do things like I can get busy editing this thing. I can tell it over here, I can say, make it shorter. So I can edit this document using both the AI on the left side and my fingers and my brain and my keyboard over on the right side using Canvas. So that's your base level, like what the heck is Canvas? And when you create canvases, I see Marty's here with us. He helped me understand that it is canvases, not Canvi. We'll find that canvas up here. So it's in this little open canvas screen here. Now, if you tell it to write another short poem in a new canvas called Poem 2, now it's going to create a second document. So I can have multiple documents in the same thread. Okay. So I'm bringing that up now because that's going to come into play today. Now, when you click here, you're going to see two documents. One's called Poem, one's called Poem 2. Now I can go in here and I can go into Poem 1 and I can rename it. And I do recommend that you start when you're using Canvas. The way I'm going to teach you today is to start naming your canvases things that make sense, right? Like not just let the AI name your canvas, but also go in and rename it and edit it yourself the same way you would any document. That's what a canvas is. A canvas is a document, and we can use a canvas in any way pretty much that we would use any other document, right? And now that's important because most people think of Canvas as purely a writing tool, and it is. It's a writing tool. It's not purely a writing tool. We can use it for multiple things And that's really what I want to show you today is not just how to use Canvas to write something, although we will do that. We will also be looking at Canvas and how it works in multiple different ways into your workflow when you're marketing businesses. So you can see now that I've got this chat and I've got two poems in there. All right, that's your sort of baseline. What the heck is Canvas? It's basically a document. It allows us to edit on the left with the AI and edit on the right using our keyboard and our brain. Now, what we're going to do in this training is I want to first make a plan and hold that plan in a canvas. Second, we're going to draft. So we're going to create a piece of content and we're going to draft that piece. And then last thing we're going to do is polish. So we're going to use a canvas plus a custom GPT to edit for brand voice on that piece of content. So we're going to plan the content, we're going to draft the content, we're going to polish the content. In each step, we're going to be using Canvas in various different ways. Now, if you want to participate in this training and actually get the documents that I'm going to use, the prompts, it's not actually any prompts in there. It's a persona and a set of GPT instructions. Let me grab that link for you guys and then I'll pop that into the chat. I should have had that rocking for you guys before I started, but I didn't. So let me grab that. So you just click on this link. And if you're watching the recording, just underneath the recording or in the description, you'll see a link to download the assets. So let's say anyone with the link is a viewer. So I'll pop this into the chat and now you'll be able to access. There you go. If you click on that link, you should have access to the deck, even though that deck was pretty short. Maybe you want the deck. I don't know, but you can make a copy of the deck. But what you really want to do is open up the assets inside of here. And this is how I do my trainings is I believe you learn AI by doing AI. And so what you want to do with this is make a copy so that you can keep this on your own Google Drive. And it's got a little overview here in case you want instructions. But the first thing we're going to do in this training is we're going to access this persona. So this is just my persona. Some people call it, I call it a pain pleasure persona. It's something that we learn in Growth OS, how to build what I call a pain pleasure persona, which gives you pain and pleasure quotes. This persona is outstanding for creating marketing, right? It's purely built to be fed to an AI so you can do marketing and so that the AI completely understands what's the problem and where are they? What's the problem and where they want to go? And so you don't have to build a pain pleasure persona, but you do the most important thing that you can feed an AI. Okay. The most important information that you could feed an AI is information about who you're talking to. Who are you marketing to? What are their pain points? If you don't have that information, you're going to get boiled chicken output. You're going to get drunk uncle type problems with your AI. And so the sort of fundamental piece of input when you're doing any marketing, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And it also doesn't matter if you're using your own intelligence or an artificial intelligence. You should never be doing marketing without first saying, like, well, who are we marketing to? What's the problem? Like, what problem are we solving? So that's why in this training, I'm going to begin with this piece of information. Now, if you're not a member of the Click Pro and you don't have a pain pleasure persona to start with to play around with this, just use mine. And also know that you don't have to have a pain pleasure persona, but you do need to have a persona. Like you need to have some idea of who you're talking to. It doesn't have to be the most elaborate thing in the world, but you will be shocked when you tell the AI, and particularly if you structure your AI so it always knows who you're serving, how much better your output will be and how much closer you're going to get to getting actual output that leads to sales and leads and revenue when you use an AI with a persona. So let's use this persona today and mess around with Canvas. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with copying this persona. Actually, let's not copy it. I'm going to call an audible here. I'm going to tell you, let's start by downloading it. So we could copy this and paste it into the AI, but instead I'm going to attach it. So I'm going to go to File, download, and I'm going to download you could download the PDF version, or bonus points, you could download the markdown version if you have that available. If you don't have that available, you can go to Tools, Preferences, and enable Markdown in your Google Docs. And I'm not going to go into today why Markdown is a good idea. That's in my Growth OS training as well, like very quick information about what Markdown is and why we use it. AI. If you're not real sure, just download this thing as a PDF. In fact, I'm just going to download it as a PDF for this free training because it works just fine. So I'm going to download the PDF of the current tab and export that. So remember, you may not have that option unless you go and you make a copy of this document. So you got to make a copy of it, maybe, in order to download it. All right, so let's hop into ChatGPT and let's play around. So let's get rid of this poem example and let's go into a real example here. And I'm going to start by attaching my persona to this thread. So I'm going to go to my downloads folder and I'm going to attach my persona there. And remember, this persona contains information about who this person is. This is the persona that I market to at the click with this business. This is my persona. And it just happens to have this sort of fancy setup. You don't need this setup um, to have a persona. It's just this is a kicked up version of a persona that allows me to do a lot of copywriting and stuff like that. So I'm going to attach this persona and I'm going to start by literally just saying to this AI, I'm just going to say, read the attached and outline what you find out about the persona you're targeting. So a quick prompt like this and an attachment is going to tell me it's going to make this AI read this document so that it knows who we're talking to. Who are we marketing to? Now, the example I'm going to run through today, we're going to go through an example of putting together a plan to start writing for LinkedIn, right? We're going to start writing some posts for LinkedIn, and that's going to be the marketing project that we're working on right now in this thread. And the first thing I'm doing, as you can see here, is I'm giving this AI an idea of who am I writing to. So in this case, I'm writing for LinkedIn. I'm going to create some stuff on LinkedIn. Who are we talking to? Who do I want to talk to? When I feed this in to this AI and it becomes aware of who I'm talking to, this AI is going to get way better at the rest of this process because it knows my persona. Okay. So I want to check through here and just make sure that it knows, that it understands my persona and it didn't hallucinate anything there. And it did not. It went in there and basically just outlined what it found in my document. And that's good. I want it to know that. And now I'm just going to explain to it what I'm trying to do. So we're going to be trying to create some LinkedIn content. And in order to do that, I want to get organized first. So if we go back to what we're trying to do today is we're trying to create some LinkedIn content and we're going to plan, draft, and polish. So the first thing I'm working on here is the plan. Like where's the plan around creating content for LinkedIn? So go back here and you can see it's still sort of crawling through my persona slowly here. I'll check and see if you guys got any questions. Do I have to be a pro member to take the email newsletter? Goodness. Yes, you do. Hey, I got kids in college. I have to charge for stuff. I do a lot of free training, but I also do a lot of advanced pro training. And the email newsletter courses. And it's not the only thing I'm doing. I mean, that membership has a lot of killer stuff, but just the one we're starting on Friday is email newsletters. Go click on that link and see and check it out and join if you like. All right, so I've got my persona in here. I'm going to move myself towards a plan here. I'm just going to tell the AI I want to start publishing this persona on LinkedIn. Let's start with creating a LinkedIn content calendar. Now, let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys out here. What should be, I'm going to create a content calendar for LinkedIn. Think what should be some of the columns in this. So, the columns of this content calendar, what should we include? So, I think we should include, uh, uh, put them in the chat, please, just so we can get a nice, a nice organized table containing the content calendar. So I think we want publish date, we want topic, we want what? What do you guys got? Help me out, y'all. What should go in my content calendar? Publish date, topic. How about marketing hook? So every piece of content that I'm going to create, I'm going to want a hook. I'm going to want maybe a call to action in there. Yeah. I like that one. Annette. Let's put in a graphic or image recommendation for the post. We know what the persona is. So the persona, Annette has audience, date, graphic, topic, target. Let's go with this for now. I'm going to say, okay, so I want to start publishing to this persona on LinkedIn. Let's start with creating a LinkedIn content calendar, include columns such as publish date, topic, marketing hook, call to action. All right. So you know what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to have it go ahead and start this canvas up. I'm going to create a document here. Now, one of the problems that happens with AI, listen to this, and you tell me if you ever have this problem, where you're working inside of a chat in a thread and you get something useful, like something that's usable, and then you keep going, and then you're like, well, now that useful thing is way the heck back up there, right? It might be up there from yesterday or 2 weeks ago when you were working inside of this thread. There's something way back in that thread that you need or that you wanted to keep. And that's a great time to start a canvas. Okay. You can create a canvas that is just notes, right? Like just contains notes, right? And then that canvas will live up here and you can always go access it. What I'm doing in this case is I'm going to have it create me a content calendar. And I already know that this content calendar is a milestone. Like I want to hold on to that thing. I don't want it lost in the thread and gone. I want to hold on to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it over into a canvas. I can tell it what to name the canvas. I'm going to say, create a placeholder table for our LinkedIn content with these columns. I'll just say something like include one row with reasonable placeholder information. Create this in a new canvas. All right. So I'm going to have it create this in a new canvas. I'm going to call it LinkedIn content calendar. Okay. All right. Let's roll that. So I'm going to, what I asked it to do is I said, hey, build me a little document and let's get started with this content calendar and let's include these. Let's just get started with a placeholder. Just put one row in there. And that's just so I can, kind of see that my AI is understanding what I want in there. So you can see I've got February 3rd, predictable pipeline, turn launch chaos into boring revenue. Now, where did it get this topic? It got this topic from my persona. Okay, this is so important not to go back and rant about the persona again. I'm not going to do that. But I am telling you that without a persona, at least some information about who you're talking to, this AI will give you nothing but boiled chicken in here. It will not know what to put in there. So it'll just put something generic in there. But with a persona, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to get good stuff. It's stuff you can use. All right. Now, we've got our content calendar over here. And now I might say something like, okay, so I've got this content calendar. I can close this and I can always go and get access to that content calendar again. Now, another piece of information I might want to feed this AI or create with this AI would be like, what are my big pillars of content around which I want to publish? Like, what are the big pillars, content pillars? So let's work on that for a second. I'm going to say on what you know about my persona. Let's create, and I usually ask for double the amount. So I'm going to want around 5 content pillars. I'm going to ask the AI to come up with 10 ideas so that I can sort of curate what I want. So based on what you know about my persona, let's create 10 content pillars we will publish about on LinkedIn. Give me the name of the pillar and a description and maybe even 3 example LinkedIn post topics for each pillar. All right, run that. So let's let it run and come up with 10 ideas. Now I'm going to have my own ideas. I may already have the pillars that I want to use that I could feed in here. But what I always do is when I ask the AI to sort of come up with a bunch of ideas, if I know I'm going to need like 5 at the end, I ask it to give me 10. If I know I need 10, I'm going to ask for 20. Because I want more ideas than less. So let's just say, just for the sake of time here, uh, whenever I'm doing these trainings, we have an hour together. I want you to understand that there is a lot of presence of me, and there needs to be presence of you in the decisions that you make moving things forward. And you don't just take what the AI is giving you. You can use it as a thought partner. You can feed it stuff and it can feed you back. But at the end of the day, you got to make a decision about what's going to be what your content pillar is going to be. Like the AI shouldn't be making that final decision for you. But let's just say I'm going to decide to use these 5. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, create a new canvas called content pillars and put the first 5 pillars in that canvas. Also add a little intro as to what these pillars are and what the purpose is. Okay. So just something like that. Nothing magical about anything I'm putting in here. I'm just sort of slowly building up a thread that contains the information that I might need in order to run a LinkedIn content strategy here. And so I've got a second document here. You can see that I've got my content calendar is started. It's here. And now I've gone in here and I said, well, let's build another document here. I think it means smart to create some pillars here of content. And remember that I skipped over any sort of editing or anything like that in the sake of time. And now I've got this content pillars. I want to make sure that this is reading the way I want it. 5 recurring themes we'll publish about on LinkedIn for that persona. I can't overstate how important it was to bring that persona in at the beginning. And then, okay, purpose, consistency, relevance. This is sort of extra. I could remove this, but I won't for now. Okay, great. So now we've got 2 documents. We've got a content calendar. We got some content pillars. Now, I literally, with having the pillars of what I want to publish about, having a content calendar in place, and having the persona available to this AI right off the bat, because I attached that. This AI has a lot of information that it could use. So let's go into my content calendar here. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to say, we want to publish 3 times a week, create calendar for the next 2 weeks. Okay. So now because I have this document open, it really knows. You can see that little, I want you to look at what my cursor's pointing at right there. You can see that it's referencing this document. So it's going to start editing this document. It's going to add to it. And it's going to take in the context of my persona, my pillars, and the table format that I've created. And it's going to do a pretty dang good job of coming up with some LinkedIn content ideas because it's got the right context to do so. And so you can build out with a project like this, you can build out as many documents as you want. I've never hit the upper limit of documents. And of course, again, I'm going to skip over the section here where I would say something like highlight that and get rid of it, like delete it or ask the AI to delete it. Or I might highlight one of these and say, I want a lot more. Like I want you to create a whole bunch of ideas that are similar to this one. So you might find one that you're like, that's a really good structure. It's a good idea. I really like that idea. Create more like this one, except spread it across the different pillars. And it'll go reference the pillars. It'll look at this post and it'll say, okay, like I understand you like this post type or this post here, create more like this. And it'll take in all the context that's going on inside of this thread and do more of that, right? Because that's what you asked it to do. But let's say that again, skipping through maybe 10 or 15 minutes of me deleting things, asking the AI to give me more of this, less of that, maybe even starting over if I need to get this right. Because here's the thing about a project like we're working on right now is that I'm going to use this thread over and over and over again for God knows how long. I might use it for years. I might be working inside of this thread. So I want to get it set up right. And if I need to start over, I need to start over. because it didn't have the right information or it just sort of went off the rails or whatever happened, I might want to start over. But you can see now I'm getting, and I might say something like, close this. So I'm going to look at this February 2nd post here. Pipeline math, forecast next month's revenue in 15 minutes. The 4-line offer, one liner, make your premium offer obvious. Proof stack, 7 assets that make clients choose you faster. Stop being the bottleneck. Okay, let's go with this February 11th post. All right, so I'm going to go with this February 11th post. And I might come over here and I might say, create a new canvas and write the February 11th post. Okay, so I want to go back to the deck here. In this training, what we want to do is we want to plan, we want to draft, and we want to polish. So now we're moving into draft. Okay, so if we're going to draft, let's move into that stage here. So I can literally refer to this February 11th post. I can close this document and I can say create a new canvas and write the February 11th post in that canvas. Okay. So it's going to go and reference this row right here. Going to open this up. Now I've got a third document and you can see that it's been labeled February 11th LinkedIn post. Okay. So it goes ahead and writes that. I'm not going to judge whether or not I think this is any good or not. You can do that yourself or not. But like the real idea here is how to use Canvas. Okay. Now another step we could take to make this thread and use Canvas again would be to create a canvas that contains the structure of a LinkedIn post that we want to write every time. I don't really have time to do that today, but I think you could see how that would work, right? Like you might create several outline structures as to how you want LinkedIn posts to work. Maybe you want to start with the problem and then agitate and then solve. So it's a very common formula: problem, agitate, solve. Um, in fact, if I wanted to use that, it's a good time for me to, this is a good time for me to demonstrate how we might take something like this and say, rewrite this using a problem, agitate, solve framework. Okay, so now I've just told it, use the problem, agitate, solve framework, rewrite this, right? Recreate this piece. It's kind of very overtly labeling this as problem, agitate, solve. Alan, you can absolutely do this inside of a project. Absolutely, buddy. That's a good question. Okay, so now it's sort of rewritten this, and over here I can tell it, hey, remove those problem, agitate, solve headings. I don't need that. Or I can just go in here and I can take them out myself. So I can go in here and I can just take this out. Now, this doesn't work quite as good as a Google Doc or a Word doc because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that Google Docs has, but it works pretty good and it keeps getting a little bit better all the time. And I might take that out. I might add things. I might take things out. I might work with the AI over here, or work with my own fingers. And then eventually I might be like, okay, I sort of like the structure of this. Now, the last thing we typically do with a piece of content is we're going to add polish to it. So we're going to polish it. And what I want to do with this is I want to demonstrate the use of a GPT here. Now, if you want to create this GPT, again, you can click on the link. I'll drop it again in case some of you were like, I don't want to do that. I'll get you just make sure you guys got this link. Where the heck did it go? So this is a problem with having so many monitors. I don't know where anything is. Let's see, share with Google Drive. There it is. It's hiding back there. So anyone with the link, I'll drop this link in here one more time. And those of you listening on the recording can look underneath this video or in the description, and you'll find the link to the assets. But again, I've got a second tab in here for a GPT called Draper. All right, so let's talk about Draper. So what is Draper? Draper is a set of instructions that can turn an AI into an AI that will edit and write in a style that's defined by high impact, emotionally charged persuasion. So this is a brand voice guidelines set of instructions. It's basically like, hey, I want you to deliver brevity with punch, tapping into primal human desires and fears, make the reader feel something immediately, follow the guidelines. And so the guidelines here literally go through every sort of component of a brand voice: sentence structure, plus examples, pacing and rhythm, idiomatic expression, figurative language, rhetorical strategies, tone and mood, vocabulary. It's a set of instructions about how to write in a certain voice. Now, we can take something like Draper here and we can copy this. Now, again, I'm not going to go too much into what Markdown is, but the best way to copy and paste something like this is to copy and paste it using Markdown. So I'm going to select all this. You don't have to do this. You could just copy this whole thing the way we always copy things. But what I want to do for best practice is copy this as Markdown. Again, those of you in the Click Pro, you probably already know why you're doing this. If you're not, just understanding Markdown is a very simple concept, but like I want to copy this as Markdown. I'm going to go back into my ChatGPT instance here. Okay. Now, what I could do here is I could go over here and I could say, edit this post using these instructions. And I can paste my instructions about how to write like Draper. So I'm basically saying edit this post using a high impact, emotionally charged persuasion, deliver brevity with punch. And I give it a whole bunch of instruction about that. So I use this set of Draper instructions. I just paste it in there and I tell it, go ahead and edit that. And what we should see is that this post will be edited with that set of brand voice instructions. You can see how much more punchy it got. You became the bottleneck. You're buried in delivery. All right, cool. So it edited or polished this thing using the Draper voice. Now, obviously, again, I'm not going to show this part, but I can go over here and edit this. I can take things out. I can completely start over. I could rewrite entire sections of this or rewrite the whole thing. That is up to your discretion, and I won't demonstrate that part. I'm here to teach you about AI and particularly how to use AI to grow a business. And particularly today, we're talking about ChatGPT Canvas. But what I want to do now is real quick, I'm going to open up another instance, another tab of ChatGPT. And if you guys are wondering what are we doing in the Click Pro, well, we are structuring our ChatGPT accounts in order to do real work, to grow businesses, right? Like how do we use AI to actually build businesses? Well, you can see how all of this stuff is structured over here in a way that I can work very, very quickly with super high output. One of the things that we build to do that is what we call GPTs. So let's instead of pasting in the Draper instructions here, if I'm going to use this Draper voice a lot, I want to save that Draper voice. I want to use it. I want to keep it somewhere where I can use it whenever I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into ChatGPT and there's a little section over here that says Explore GPTs. I'm going to click on Explore GPTs. I'm going to click on Create and I'm going to name this GPT Draper and I'm going to put a little unofficial on there because this is not my official Draper. Right. I'm going to give it a description. Writes in a punchy voice, a punchy, persuasive voice. You don't even really have to add the description. And then I'm going to paste in my Draper instructions. So there's Draper. There's the instructions. I'm going to select all of that. Again, for me, I'm going to copy as Markdown. If you don't have Markdown, go to Tools, Preferences, and enable Markdown. And copy this Markdown and then drop it into the instructions. Boop. Now I've got an AI that always writes in this Draper voice. It's called a custom GPT. It's nothing, it's done. Like the thing's done. You might want to change this recommended model. I always go with ChatGPT 5.2 thinking unless there's a real good reason not to use 5.2 thinking. I'm going to use 5.2 thinking. So let's go ahead and select that and create that GPT. Click in the upper right-hand corner, click on create and update. Actually, you shouldn't see that update unless you have a Teams account. I'll use a Teams account. Okay, so there's Draper. I'm going to view that GPT. All right, we got 13 minutes left. Now watch this. Okay, watch this. This is like the dude's rug part of this show. It's going to really tie the whole training together. Here is how we using Canvas and GPTs and actually doing real work that grows businesses. Well, remember what we're doing in here. Let's go all the way back to the start and review. So we started out by feeding this AI our persona. We wanted to know who we're working, who we're writing to, and I said, hey, just go ahead and outline our persona so that I know we're both on the same page. And it went ahead and did that. And then I said, Well, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to start creating some LinkedIn content. Let's create a content calendar. And I gave it a few columns that I want. I can always add more columns or take things out. And it created this canvas. Then I went and I said, I really need to get clear on the kind of content, the topics, let's call them pillars that I want to publish about. Let's go ahead and work back and forth with the AI, get that right. And I created a second document here, and I'm holding this here. Like I can always access this. And by the way, not only can I easily access this information, but the AI prioritizes this information. Like it thinks about this information as important because it's in a canvas. And so the last thing I did was I said, okay, well, write me this February 11th post. And then I said, now edit the post using these Draper instructions. And then the last thing I just did was I said, if I'm going to use the Draper voice a lot, why not just create a GPT? So you can see all these different tools that I have available to me. And if you look at Click Pro members, in the Click Pro members, they have tools over here that they're using throughout their workflow to do different things like plan projects, write fascinations, create a storyboard, just doing the things that you have to do in order to get promotions out the door, to create content, the things we do every day. All right, so we've got our Draper GPT. Let's go back into this thread. So this is our thread where we're planning LinkedIn and content and creating LinkedIn content. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to look back through my content calendar. And let's say I want to work on this post here, the February 4th post. So I might go over here and I might say, create a new canvas and create the Feb 4 post at Canvas. So now, I've got the February 11th post here. I've got the pillars. I've got the LinkedIn content calendar. Now I've got the February 4th post being written here. And again, we don't just take what the AI gives us and put it out there, but in the interest of time, now we're down to 9 minutes and left in this training. So I don't have time to show the parts where I come back in, and you have to decide where you're coming in and where you're working back and forth with the AI. But here's what I want to show you is that now we have like all these different documents in here that we're working on that are useful to us. And right now I'm working on this Feb 4 LinkedIn post. And one of the ways I can use AI now to as a at this polish stage, this last polish stage, is to call that GPT in. I encourage you guys to think about your GPTs, the little tools that you have over here, the way you would think about tools that you use around your house, right? Like a hammer or a screwdriver or whatever. When you need that tool, you pick it up and you use it. And when you don't need the tool anymore, you put it back down. Now let me show you how to do that. So we're gonna want this Draper voice that writes in this persuasive, punchy voice. And so I'm just gonna go over here and I'm gonna hit the at symbol. Okay, so I hit that at sign and call Draper in. Now I'm gonna call my real Draper in. You can see I'm gonna call Draper in. So I got Draper now, and I can use this Draper instructions. I can use this screwdriver to edit this post and then just drop the screwdriver. I don't need the screwdriver anymore. I already used it. So I can say, follow your Draper instructions to edit this post. Okay. So I ask it to follow the Draper instructions. You can see it's using Draper right now. What is Draper? A AI that writes with sentence structure, pacing, rhythm, figurative language. It's got instructions about how to write. And you can see that it went over here and it's going to edit this post right into that Draper voice. And once I have that, I've used that tool, unless I want to use it some more, I can keep using Draper over here. You can see it. It's open and available to this AI right now as a tool. And now I can close that. And I don't need it anymore. Now I might be working on something and I might end up needing a different tool. Like I have one of the GPTs that we built in the Click Pro is called the Hook Maker. So if I need a hook for this, I could call in Hook Maker and I can say, take this post and give me 5 hook ideas for this post. So I might want to change up the hook over here. And we'll see if it answers us in here or underneath. But if I want a new hook for this post, like I'm reading this and I'm like, I don't know, I don't love this hook. Like I don't like how it's doing that. I can call in the hook maker GPT, which is trained. That AI is trained to write hooks. Like that's how it works. Like it's has instructions to write hooks. So, and then I might say, uh, I might get rid of my hook maker because I'm like, thanks for the hooks, hook maker. I don't need you anymore. So I'm going to dismiss you here. And I might say, rewrite this post using hook three. Okay. So I can just say, use hook three, rewrite this post. Now I might read it and say, better bring Draper back in here, like Draper. But no, I think it kept the Draper voice and used hook three. Okay, so a lot going on there. Maybe for some of you. What do you think? Is this? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? Are you understanding what we're doing here? Cool. So here's the thing. You got to kind of open your mind about all of the ways that you can use um, a canvas. And with 5 minutes left, I mean, we might as well show you another way we might want to use this. So we might say, create a new canvas containing a checklist that we will use before we set any LinkedIn post live. And I'm going to just tell it to do that. I'm just at the interest of time. I might have given it a little more detail, but let's just see what it does here. So I might create a checklist and hold that inside of a document as well. Anything that you might use a document for, you could use a canvas for. Now, where is this all going? So where it's going is that we are going to be spending less and less and less of our work time, at least in other applications. We are going to be spending more and more of our time inside of an AI tool like this that's going to allow us to manipulate documents, push and pull information from other sources like from your CRM or from your email software or from your website or whatever. Like everything is moving towards being connected in here. And documents like this are part of that, right? Like when you create documents in here, you're essentially creating all of this inside of here rather than doing it outside in a Google Doc or in a Word doc or someplace else. You're actually starting to work inside the thread using the document available. And the reason you want to do that is because the AI has access to all this information, and you can always go back to it and you can say, hey, update the content calendar. So what you would want to do here, go over here, you can see that, you know, ChatGPT named this thread target persona outline. Well, that's not what I want this called. I want to rename this and I might say LinkedIn content builder, something like that, that really is more akin to what this thread is. And this might be a thread that I'm going to use over and over and over again. I keep coming back. I keep adding and taking away from the content calendar as I work in here. Like this becomes my plan. Like what are we creating next? What are we creating next? And again, there's back and forth between what you're doing, what the AI is doing, what you're doing, what the AI is doing, how you're using the AI to help you think through things, keep you organized, maybe go out and research something. You might ask it to build an image for the doc. ChatGPT can build the image too. Right? So you can use ChatGPT's image generator to create the image for that post. This is just one example of the real kind of marketing work that people like you and I do and how to use ChatGPT to do better work, right? Higher quality at much greater speed. And this is how Canvas works into that. But there's also trainings that we've done around custom GPTs, projects, deep research, other aspects of ChatGPT. Okay, so quick reminder before I check through and see if you have questions, go ahead and pop them into the chat and I'll get to them in a second. Don't forget, if you're in the Click Pro, we're going to be starting newsletters on Friday. You don't have to be there live. Everything gets recorded at the Click and put into your training library. But as many people as come live is always appreciated and more fun. I'll drop the link in here to learn more about email newsletters here and would love to have you as a member if you're not a member. If you have questions, Denise, you cannot join the Click Pro monthly. It's a year membership. Did you use Draper twice in this exercise? Maybe. Yeah, I think I did use Draper twice. Thank you, Mike Minichichi, for sharing the link to the assets. Could you still instruct it to use the Draper voice when using another GPT, like Hookmaker? Yeah, you could. You can't call two GPTs at the same time. But what you would do in that situation is maybe you would copy and paste the Draper instructions in to the prompt and then call the hook maker. So you take the hook maker, give it some instruction, and drop the Draper instructions underneath. That'd be a way around that. See you later, German. Good to see you, man. Can you join Pro Monthly? No, you can't. It's just a yearly membership. Thanks, Renee. Hope to see you on Friday. All right. Well, thanks for coming to this one. This was Level Up, ChatGPT Canvas for marketers. Hope you got a lot out of it, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye, everybody.